If you are a coach, consultant, agency owner, founder, or own a local small business, today I want to introduce you to a concept called how to build the machine that builds the machine. Because most founders, coaches, and consultants, agency owners, and founders are obsessed over the wrong thing. They are trying to perfect their offer with better pricing, better deliverables, better positioning. But here's the truth. Your offer is not the bottleneck. Your operations are. The real game is building the machine that builds the machine. And in the next 18 minutes or so, I'm going to share with you exactly how to do that. Now, the machine that builds the machine is a concept that was popularized by Elon Musk to describe designing and automating factories themselves as a product rather than just the vehicles or goods as the product. Emphasis is on treating production systems, manufacturing technology as the primary engineering challenge to achieve a 10x result, right? So this is why it's so important. With greater speed, greater quality, and greater efficiency, right? So Elon Musk coined this phrase, and he came through it through an experiment in his Tesla factories, right? In recent years, shareholders, Elon Musk said, we have realized the true problem, the true difficulty, and the greatest potential is building the machine that builds the machine. In other words, building world-class factories that produce great results. I actually think that the potential improvement in the machine makes the machine a factor of 10 greater than its potential, right, alongside the cars. So if you spent months trying to perfect your offer, you've watched every YouTube video, you've studied every sales page, and yet your revenue is still the same, unpredictable, leads come and go, sales feel random, delivery is chaotic. Why? Because you're building the wrong vehicle, right? You're building your offer when you should be building the machine. So now let me explain. The top 1% of businesses aren't winning because they have better offers. They're winning because they have better operations. Everything else is tweaking their pitch, their decks, their offer. They're building systems that produce results daily. They've stopped being builders and become operators. Key distinction. And that shift is what I'm going to break down today. Most people think business success comes from one thing, like a great product or a brilliant idea or working harder than everybody else. But if you study companies that scale into the millions, you discover something surprisingly, right? They aren't focused on the product. Think about Apple, right? Nike, right? All these top products, Louis Vuitton, right? They're focused on the machine that produces the product. It's key, right? Because the system, the operating model, the engine that generates results every single day, this concept is known as the machine that builds the machine. It's a way of thinking where you stop obsessing over what you sell and you start designing the systems in your business that produces customers, revenue, and results. Because once the machine works, right, growth stops and it starts to feel predictable, right, not random, right? And this is where the predictability factor comes in. And today, just using media platforms, AI tools, and automation as an example, anyone can build their own version of a machine in their business. And I'm going to show you how I built mine. Starting, right, just with media, right? Because now when we work with clients, media, attention is currency. This is the new thing. Before, a currency was held by bankers, VC capital, land. But now attention has shifted in this time scale to be the major dominant factor of currency. You have all the social media companies, right? Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, TikTok, they're all garnering attention, right? And with that attention, they're turning it into currency. And the top people on that platform, be it creators, influencers, they're garnering the highest and making the most money, right, through that attention. So let's start with looking at the YouTube revenue machine, right? That compounds authority, leads, and income over time. Because this is how you should think as a business. Be it you're a coach, consultant, agency owner, a founder, or owner of a local business, your goal is to garner and get attention and then turn that attention into currency. So in this video, we're going to break down what the machine actually is in this contents, right? And how the machine builds itself, how media becomes the fuel, right? And how AI becomes the workforce inside the system, right? It's a new century age, right? Method and way at looking at things. So you have to have something like this, right? Literally, you want a business that prints you money, right? Because not because of the product, but because of the machine that you've actually built in your business, right? Now, I want to introduce you to a concept called the authority operating loop, right? The authority operating loop is a business flywheel designed to create continuous growth through a cycle of content, sales, delivery, and improvement. It begins with the authority content, where valuable content is created to attract attention, to build trust and position your business as an expert in its field. This content generates inbound leads, which brings potential customers to the business, right? And those leads move into sales conversations where prospects are now qualified and educated and converted into being paying customers. Once a prospect becomes a customer, they then enter the delivery system where the business fulfills its promise and helps the client to achieve meaningful results. Successful delivery creates proof creates insights and objection handling and assets, such as testimonials, case studies, customer feedback, frequently asked questions, and lessons learned from working with these clients, right? Which is fundamental to know. These assets are then fed back into the content system, strengthening the future of marketing, improving the sales message, and attracting even more qualified leads. At the same time, every stage of the process contributes to a system improvement, which happens daily. Each improvement removes friction, increases efficiency, enhances the customer's experience, and improves conversion rates. So over a period of time, small increments compound, making the entire system stronger and more profitable. And this is what you want for your business, right? The power of the authority operating loop is that what transforms a business from a series of disconnected activities into a self-reinforcing growth machine, producing better content which attracts better leads, which then creates more sales, which creates better delivery, which creates stronger proof, creates stronger improvement in future marketing, and then the sales loop continues, right? So you have a continuous system of improvements that make every stage perform better than it was before. This creates a compounding flywheel where growth becomes more predictable. The authority content operating loop is now becomes sustainable over time, right? And this is what it looks like, right? You have the top authority content, right? Where you produce content on any platform. You choose the platform of your choice, be it YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, right? Then with that content that you're pushing out, you start to generate inbound leads, and it's consistent content. That's why you need a system. And those leads now start to develop sales conversations, right? Then those sales conversations start to develop into a delivery system, right? We start to accumulate and acquire clients, right? Then afterwards, that system, you're working on a system of daily improvement, right? Then you create better assets like testimonials, case studies. This is a loop. And then you have client outcomes, right? And it loops back into more authority. Because now, every flywheel, you got more proof, more sites, insights, and more objectives, right? So, I want to show an example of the machine that we actually built, right? Because we're not just talking this, right? We are walking this, right? So we built a system of agents, right? To empower our own business, but now also the clients that we are working with, right? Let me just wait for it to load, or let me just show you, right? So here's a platform that we built, right? Where we built a system, a machine, right? Build your own AI workforce, not automations. And over on this platform, we have 60 autonomous agents working for us 24/7 almost, right? Yeah, I'm saying. So we're going to go a little deep down in to see. I want to show example under the hood when I say build a machine that creates the machine, right? And how we're doing it and experiencing it in our company and for our clients. So the machine, right, then compounds. Here are core operational departments, right? Let me go into, I'm going to go into it a bit, right? So here, right, if I come in to my dashboard, right, I'm just going to go and show you, we got different departments. But when I go here, we have a stream of agents working for us, right? I'm going to go into our monitor of our agents, right? Let me just go to here, right? So every single day, right, every one of these, we've got 65 agents at the moment working for us, right? This is a sales analysis, analyze our sales calls. This is a YouTube script, right? Producer helps us develop scripts for ourselves and our clients. We've got a doc mentor what helps us understand documents. We've got a 48-hour launch, right? YouTube agent what helps us launch YouTube videos in the marketplace. We've got a sales script trainer. We've got a visual design agent who helps us with visual design. We've got a media buyer, right? We've got a course builder agent who helps build up modules of courses, right? These are all the different agencies which are work in for us. The ones in grey are paused at the time being. The ones in green, right, are actually running, and the ones in red, there's a fault with an agent or something didn't fire. But every single day, we put a portfolio, right, of autonomous agents to work, right, to build a system. Before, we used to have like 30 plus staff, right, in our agency, right? But now we cut down significantly because now these agents are doing the work. And some of our agents, right, especially, for example, ones that manage social media, do lead gen, what our team would take 20 to 30 hours, they do it in 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, right? So I'm going to go more to that, but this is what I'm talking about, right? The machine components that we're putting together. Number one, right? The demand engine, the marketing, right? Demand engine is responsible for bringing attention to your business and creating consistent flow of potential customers. Without demand, nothing else matters because no one knows you exist. This is key to understand, right? The engine includes your content, social media, YouTube videos, shorts, emails, advertising, outreach activities. The goal to build authority, trust, visibility while attracting the right audience into an ecosystem, which, like an example I showed you. Think of this as a front door for your business. It's constantly creating valuable content to engage with your audience and potential prospects. It creates a steady stream of leads of people who are interested, right? Now you're in the day where most people, before, you could run a business and no one knows who you are, right? But them days are for long gone. We're in the days of visibility, right? If you have to be in business, you have to be visible in order to exist, right? So this is the example, right? YouTube to shorts to DMs to calls, right? The role is to generate daily lead form and establish authority in your marketplace. So YouTube's here, right? The flywheel, right? Then from YouTube, what we do, which I'm going to show you, right? We get one video and turn it into 40 shorts, right? Yeah, I'm saying 40 pieces of content at least, right? That content goes on significant media platforms, right? TikTok, Instagram, etc., you name it, right? Then from there, we got a rush of DMs, people DMing us, right, and our clients. Then we turn those DMs into calls and conversations where we get people interested. Then from that, people raise their hand, and all those who are interested in the services, and then the whole cycle repeats, right? So we start with YouTube. The reason why YouTube is powerful, because this is where long form content now gardens trust, right? People consume you on platforms like Shorts, what do Instagram, TikTok, maybe YouTube Shorts, right? There people have a short attention span, 30 seconds. But on YouTube, that's where the longest form of trust is built, because you're watching content from 10 to 30 minutes to an hour, right? Now, number 2, the conversion engine. Once attention has been created, the conversion engine takes over. It's the job to turn interested prospects into paying customers. This happens through conversations, consultations, sales calls, follow-ups, and relationship building. Many businesses lose money because they generate leads but have no process for converting them. It's so key for you to understand that, right? A strong sales engine ensures every lead is nurtured, followed up with, and can give a clear path before becoming a client. The goal is not to pressure people into buying, but to qualify prospects, build trust, right? So they can make informed decisions, and you can help them solve their problems, right? So you're a closer role, right? And you have a pipeline of leads, right? The role is to convert that interest into revenue through conversations and daily planning. And this is why you need a content machine in order to help you do that, right? Number 3, right, is a delivery engine, right? How you fulfill for the client. Delivery engine is where promises become results. This is the system responsible for helping clients achieve the outcome they paid for. Whether you provide coaching, services, software, training, or physical products, your delivery process must be clear, efficient, and consistent. Great delivery creates happy customers, positive reviews, referrals, repeat business, and case studies, right? This business is this is where the business that will grow the fastest and are often the ones that are the best marketing and have best marketing practices, but the ones that are consistently, right, to deliver exceptional results that their customers can talk about, right? It's so important that you understand that. How clients get results fast is through predictability, right? The role is to create tension, retention, referrals, and case studies, right? That leads us to number 4, right? Which is the operations engine, right? That's where you have your systems and your SOPs. The operation engine is the backbone of your business. I want to think of these clusters, right? It's so important, right? Because it focuses on creating systems, processes, automations, SOPs, right? Standard operational procedures that make the business run smoothly instead of relying on memory and consistently reinventing the wheel for every task, right? Every task must be documented as it's repeatable. The engine helps remove bottlenecks, reduces mistakes, improves efficiency, and frees up time, right, for high-valued activities, especially if you're the owner of the business, right? Every day, even a small system improvement can compound into massive gains over months and years, right? So this is why we have a principle, one system improvement, right, at least a week, right? The role is to remove friction, automate repetition, right, and have daily planning. Now, number 5, the measurement engine, right? This is where we use scorecards and KPIs, right? So the goal is, right, the measurement engine ensures that decisions are based on facts rather than feelings, right? Entrepreneurs operate on assumptions, but successful operators rely on the numbers. It's so key to understand that, right? The engine tracks key metrics such as leads generated, costs per lead, per booking, per appointment, conversion rates, customer satisfaction, retention rates, and revenue. By revealing these numbers weekly, you can now quickly identify what's working, what's broken, what needs to be improved, right? And improvements that need to be made. So what gets measured gets managed. And what gets managed gets improved. So your weekly scorecard of leads, cost per lead, conversions, book call, close rate, satisfaction, onboarding issues equals daily planning. So your role is to make decision making based on numbers, not emotions, right? So I'm going to show you in our business and when with clients how we develop a system for scorecards, right? I'm going to show you how we develop a system for scorecards, right? So let me just go into a platform. I'm going to go to Run. I'm going to go to Run. Right? And I'm going to look for our scorecard, weekly scorecard agent. Yeah, here it is. Right? Now we're going to go to the dashboard, right? This is an example of systems, right? Normally we fill this in, right? The weekly scorecard, right? The currency, I put UK because I'm based in the UK. We fill this in, right? Total leads generated, total ad spend, right? New qualified conversions, booked calls, completed calls, closed clients, revenue generated, refunds, impressions, clicks, right? This is what we get the weekly scorecard. But for a quick name purpose, I'm going to fill in example data, right? So how it looks, right? This is how it looks, right? What we do, AI automation, lead gen, selling systems from 5K plus, right? Done for you services, right? To clinics, med spas, and local businesses, right? Generated from our playbook, right? Ad spend, right? For example, 95 leads, 480, right? Complete calls, right? This is an example, right? This is how it looks. And now I'm going to go to click here, right? And while it generates, normally it takes like a few minutes to generate, right? We're live in the moment, so let's see, right? So here we have a summary score. We have the calculated metrics. We have the sales pipeline, right? We have the marketing. We have bottlenecks. We have action plans. We have full reports, right? And we're connecting our CRM, our Facebook, all the fundamental resources that we actually use. We're going to connect them to here, right? So this is an example, right, of the scorecard, right? Systemized in a systemized way, right? The revenue generated so far, right? Overall score, leads, right? Coming to the system, average closure rate, right? The sales pipeline, the biggest bottleneck, right? The biggest bottleneck is not lead generation. You're generating 120 leads, right? A healthy of £4.28.6 cost per lead. It's not your close rate either. You are closing at 37.5% of completion calls, which is excellent. The real problem is that 4 out of 12 booked calls are not showing up, right? So this is an example, right? Yes, I'm saying, right? So this is what we're working at a bottleneck, right? The system already works that out. You see what I'm saying? You're losing 33% of your sales opportunities before you get a chance, right, to present your offer at your current closure rate, the revenue per call. Those 4 no-shows represent approximately 7,500 in lost revenue for this week, right? So we're tracking, right? This is an example, right? So let's go into the score summary, right? Here it is, average A score, right? Lead generation, right? 120 leads, the cost per lead, what they have, right? The sales pipeline, right? The major bottlenecks identifying, right? Only 10% of leads convert into book calls, right? Right? This is the tracking metrics. Revenue, 15K of revenue, right? Previous week 9K, right? No refunds, right? Marketing, right? 2% click-through rate, right? These are metrics, the operation procedures, right? Operations, right? How it's working, 10 out of 10. The founder, right? So this is a scorecard that we built and we use with our clients, right? Calculated metrics, right? This is a summary, right? Total leads, average cost per lead, average cost per lead per day, average cost per lead, leads, right, to calls 10%, sharp rate 67%, closure rate, right, revenue generated, right, £125 per lead, right. So these are examples, right, of us tracking metrics, right. The pipeline, right, the leads coming through the pipeline, right. The objective, right, revenue objective, book calls objective, right, 12 to 15%, right, 10 to 12% conversion from leads, completed calls, right. We plug this into our CRM and it does the reporting, right. Let's go to our marketing, right, ad spend, right. Sometimes if you're doing crazy content, right, the ad spend is slightly lower, right. This is an example. The bottlenecks, right. Your highest bottleneck is not lead generation. You are generating 120 leads per week, a healthier 4.28 cost per lead. It's not your closure rate either. You're closing at 37%, all right, of closed calls, which is excellent. The real problem is that 4 out of 5 12 book calls, like I said, are not showing up. So detailed information, right, your key wins, right? Then, right, a proposed action plan, right, for next week, right? We do this with all our clients, right? And then we have a full report of what's actually happening, right? This example, right, of a scorecard, right, managing, right, like what I said, right, measurement engine, right? Let me just repeat that again. The measurement engine serves to ensure that decisions are based on facts rather than feelings. Many entrepreneurs operate on assumptions, right? There's no assumptions. Everything's clear and clarity, right? Because we're plugging into our systems. We're on top of our business. We know when we work for clients, we're looking for leaks. Is lead generation working? Is the sales pipeline working? Is marketing working? The operations, what's actually creating? Are there any bottlenecks, right? How's the founder working towards? Is it overstressed? Is he, is that so brutal, right? This is why we built our own machine. Because if you've got 30 to 60 agents working for you, right, 24/7, an autonomous workforce, right, it helps you so easy, right? Normally, we would pay someone like 30 to 40,000 pounds to run our accounts, to do our maths, right? But an agent is doing it for us, right? The machine that builds the machine. Remember that concept. So now I want to go into, right, this. Yeah, like a summary of what I just said. At the highest level, right, 5 engines are working together to create a complete business system. The demand engine, which I'm going to show you, the attraction engine, the conversion engine, right, which turns prospects into sales, into customers, right? Another thing I'm going to show you. The delivery engine, what creates results. The operations engine, what improves efficiency, right? The measurement engine, what provides the data, what you need to optimize everything. And when you have these 5 engines working together functionally, your business becomes less dependable on luck and more dependable on predictable systems to create growth week after week, right? So now, let me just show you a example. I'm going to go to the demand engine, right, which is traffic and generation. But now you saw our measurement engine. Let me just show you another agent that we have, right? This is our system that we built, right? 40 plus agents, right? So let me run. I'm going to go and look for this agent we're going to run, right? I'm looking for, right? This is an awesome system that we built. I'm looking for our sales audit agent. I believe it is. Let me see. Oh no, there's an issue here. Oh, system crashed. There's a bug. So we had a technical issue, but now it's been resolved. So when we're talking about metrics, right? Let me just go back, right? The measurement engine, right? This is another factor that we have that I'm going to show you how we measure, right? We have a sales audit agent, right? What audits the sales calls, right? Or no, when we're on the sales calls, right, we can increase the conversions of all calls. So this is another machine that we built, right? We built this machine, right, part of a machine to help our salespeople on the call, right? You know what I'm saying? So when we're selling our services, right? So when we're selling our services, right, literally, right, this is the ticket price before. We tell this the column before when we say we're working with the specific client, right? This was your client before. They give us the figures. We give them the figures with the existing business. We plug them in here, right? And this calculator audit works out, right? This is where you are now, right? If you work with us, this is where you're going to be after, right? Based on the systems that we're going to implement, based on the machine, right? And the team of agents that we're going to implement in your business, this is where you're going to be after, right? You know what I'm saying? So this is almost like a 30 to 50% increase, right? So we're tracking all these, right? The booking rate, the shop rate, the closure rate, right? We track it before, and when we start working with clients, right, we're saying this is where you're going to be afterwards, right? Because we know based on the systems and the machine that we're feeding them into, right? They just give us their figures, right? And now let's just see, this is an example. So the business revenue before was like, say for example, was 10K, right? That's what they're doing monthly, right? Now, monthly it was like 50K. Now they're doing 75K, right? You know what I'm saying? The profit was like approximately like 20K, right? Now they're at 40K profit, right? So let's see the summary, right? I'm gonna go into let me go into a past track record, right? Just to give you analysis. Sorry, I came out of it. So these are all our agents that we built part of the machine, right? So let me just go. So also it gives us a summary, right? Based on what's actually happening, which is pretty awesome as well. So we're always tracking the numbers. We're always tracking the numbers, right? Always, always. Right, it's just generating a summary, so that's what I didn't do. My team normally work this out, right? So I'm just going to show you the summary, right? This is another way how we track, right? How do we know these figures? Because we're tracking deeply from the metrics that we're using. Right, so this is how we close clients, right? Literally, right? We do them an audit summary on their business, right? This audit reveals fundamental transformations of your sales operations, with monthly profit doubling from 20% to 40%, while closing deals increased by 2 to 8% per month. The improvement was driven by 3 core levers: doubling your closing rate from 40 to 80%, raising ticket prices from 50 to up by 50% to 7.5K, and tightening conversions for every funnel stage. The business has shifted from high effort to low yield models to precision sales system that generates 62K in new business monthly compared. How is that possible? Through the machine, right? I'm telling you, right? Example of a machine that we built. Key wins. Closure rate doubled from 40 to 80%, meaning every 4 out of 5 qualified prospects, right, appointments now convert into paying clients, dramatically improving the return on sales efforts. Shop rate increased by 50 to 60%, reduced calendar slots by 20%, and ensuring more sales conversations actually happened, right? Profit margins improved by 40 to 53%, right? 40K profit to 75K revenue times 20 to 50%, demonstrating that premium pricing paired with operational Disciplines create sustainable growth, right? This is all a machine, right? There's no guesswork. Recommended steps. Document your current sales process in detail, particular what changed, 40 to 80% conversion rate, to create a consistent and able training at sale, right? Invest in a proportion of your additional 20K a month profit into lead generation to test more whether you're improving conversion rates and how will hold at a higher volume. Review 35% expense structure to identify which 5% increase drove the most impact, then relocate that to expand that invested deliberately, right? Frequently asked questions. How can we manage or double down on the 40%, right? 80%, right, closure rate typically results from better lead qualification earlier on in the funnel. So we track that metrics. Improving sales and scripting methodology, stronger value demonstration, and attracting a higher intent prospects through the ticket increase, which comes from the result of the marketing and the content, right? Yin for yang, we got to know, we do this, this gets the result. Review what changed in your sales conversations, qualifications, which is criteria follow-up, right? And we've got a sales agent, right, what listens to calls, right? This is part of the measurement, right? How can we sustain 2% close rate per month, right? So it's detailed, right? How can we increase our ticket price, right? Right? So this is all factors, right? So all this is measured, right? This is part of the system I'm telling you about, right? So let me just move on to this next point. So now I'm going to show you our demand engine, right? Which I spoke about, right? I just want to quickly remind you the demand engine, attraction, attention, right? Which is so key, right? Just like we said, the flywheel of attention, right? I want to show you the machine that we actually built in order to make it happen. So let me go into our machine, our platform of agentic agents, right? So this is our basically our YouTube planner. We scan the market, right? I'm just going to open up, right? These are four agents, right? We've got the planning agent, we've got the idea agent, the description agent, the click-through rate agent, and we've got the promo. So this is just an example, right? We're planning out long-form content. This is me and myself on my own platform. This is how I do it, literally. This is the video that I'm actually producing right now, literally, right? The video I'm producing right now, right? Yeah, I'm saying, so we full plan all what's coming. Oops, I can't give you a sneak preview, but this is where I'm on now, right? So this helps us, right? Understand the thumbnails are the most important thing, right? This is what we want to call it urgency and creating topics of key significance, right? I'm going to go into the ideas. So we got to understand the market. So this is a YouTube content idea agent, what generates ideas for us, right? Let's see what it does, right? Step one, right? We import 10 to 20 competitors, right? Phase one, it does pattern analysis, right? Compares competitor weakness gaps. 2, opportunity map, right? White spaces, right? Control your angles. 3, right? Upgrade authority titles, right? Before and after. 4, right? Growth strategy, right? Working on content pillars and weekly rotation, right? And then it gives us 10 to 20 plus video ideas a week, right? This is so key. This is what it actually does. This is one specific agent, right? We built a system. Here's a perfect example of it in motion. So I went, right? And we got the top 10 competitors, right? Here they are, right? In our niche, right? We do this for our clients, right? So it pulled them, right? Everybody knows Alex Mosey, right? Alex and Mosey, right? And I'm going to show you, right? When I started Alex and Mosey 10 years ago, right, I procrastinated for some time. He was just getting going. But now he's one of the top people in the market space, right? I want you to understand in the market space, right? So here's these top 10 videos, right? 2.4 million subscribers, 2.4 million views, right? He's top. So we analyzed it, what's working. Like I said, Iman Gutsi, the second top, right? Look at their view counts, right? Views is not everything, but we're just saying in the marketplace where we are, this is it. Some haven't, right? You see what I'm saying? right? His views are lower, but it's no coincidence, right? These three top people have done over 100 million in the info and consulting space, right? I want you to understand that, right? There's no like, you see what I'm saying? You can see why, right? Some others started with consulting.com. He sold it for, I believe, like a significant figure, but now he owns Score, right? Score, right? Also, he got Alex Amosi to invest and partner in Score, right? You with me? And also, Iman Gatsi, right? He's done over 100 million, right? You know what I'm saying? In the space. These are what the elites people are doing, right? Our goal is to do like 7 to 10 mil at least, right? So we're pulling up all this top stats, right? Jason Wargold, right? These are all these other people. So if I go this, right? If I go here, right? We're pulling the data. We're analyzing all this, right? The trends, like I said, you see what I'm saying? We're analyzing. So here we got, so 100 plus videos, right? We analyze 100 plus videos, right? If we times that by 10, doing 10 times, there's 1,000 top videos in the market that we can analyze, right? You with me? So there's no guesswork. We're seeing what's working, right? So this is the YouTube, right? Ideas and Planet Agent gives us in-depth industry knowledge of what's happening content-wise, right? So let's go into now the scripts, right? This is how we generate scripts for myself and how I generate scripts for our clients, right? Because like I said, content is king. And number one, I found out, how it was so hard, right, to understand, right? How do we actually win the content game? This is how we win the content game. This is the content strategy that we create for ourselves and our clients, right? To dominate, right? It's a machine, right? You could be anybody on here, right? We can help you produce content like clockwork, right? Like clockwork, right? I'm just going to show you, right? So we've got a strategy of how based on the research, the planning, now we're moving, right, into writing the scripts. Sometimes we get hooks. We look at what's coming from our sales calls. We can upload like 20, 50 hooks here, right, and generate hooks from the hooks, the interest subject. Then we can start working on the script and what we're going to say, right? And we've got a format. We do 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 45 minutes of long content value, right? So I'm going to show you a previous example of what I've already done, right? So let me just go back into here. I'm going to go back into scripts. Let me go back into scripts, right? Actually, let me move this. This is why I can't see, right? These are all the processes when we're writing scripts. We've got a system here, right? There's no guesswork. Then we've got a hook library, right? No guesswork, right? I'm just going to go into my script library, right? These are some of my forthcoming scripts, what I'm going to do, right? You know what I'm saying? Let me just go here, right? Actually, let me not choose that. Let me go back. I'm going to go to my script library. I want to choose something. Yeah. So I want to choose this, right? So this example, right? Literally, now we've done the research. We know what's working in the marketplace. We listen to our audience, right? We ordered the audience. Now we can produce scripts at Batum, right? Oh, I'm giving you away my secrets, right? And for our clients, right? So we skeleton this out, right? It's telling us the delivery queues, the retention triggers, the setups, right? This is the general first script, right? And then we can go and modify it, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, this is what the top script writers do to stop people in the market, right? You know what I'm saying? This is science here. It's a machine, right? So, and it's giving us all these breakdowns, the visual breakdowns, right? So let me go to the raw scripts, right? This is the raw scripts, right? And we can modify it, right? You see what I'm saying? This raw for it is 2,000 words, which is approximately 30 minutes. So we're hitting the hammer straight on because this was a 10-minute script, right? You know what I'm saying? Most entrepreneurs are working 80 weeks doing 10 tasks, right? Let me just show you some magic that we have, right? I'm just going to copy this first part, right? Like I said, this is a machine, right? I'm going to come back and tell you what I'm going to do. But here, right, now we've got variation hooks we can hook, right? We can try different hooks with the script, right? We can try different opening promises, right? The script intros, we can choose which script intro, we know what's hitting. We go and see, we've got all that data, right? We're not just waiting one script. This is not AI slop, this is detailed research and analysis, right? A lot of these just go to ChatGPT, Claude, and it just throws up retail slop. No, look how much openers we have, right? A problem agitated hunger, authority over, a result driven opener, right? We're testing, right? What's gonna tip, right? Same script, right? Retention hooks, right? How can we retain, right? Additional information, outros, right? What we're going to offer, right? And monetization angles, right? What we're going to come back to offer based if this video gets we can offer any one of these, right? And then we got the expansion series, right? Because sometimes if you find a winning subject that works, you want to produce a like video. So off that work, if that video banged, I can come back here now, right? And choose deep dive for individual tools, 10-part series, studying and building a complete AI business from scratch. I just come down to here, right? I'm just gonna, and I will just go here, right? Let me see if all this feels up, right? Let me see, right? And then I will just generate a new script, right? I'll generate a new script. Literally, right? I press generate and a whole new script is done in a short period of time. So that's why if we find the content that sticks in the market, we can easily go in to do that, right? You see what I'm saying? I can't give you all away my tricks, but we can do that consistently. So what's key, right, is that I took that now. Now I'm just going to go to our promo script. So now we've got the ideas. We've done the thumbnail planning. We've got the ideas. We've done the script plans. We've got like 3 or 4 scripts ready to go, right? Based on solid research and also our subject matter. We've got to understand the audience and what the people want to speak, right? Then we work on what do we need to improve the title? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But we work through this click rate optimization of the title to optimize it, right? And then we do a 48-hour launch, right? To promote that video, right? Like I said, a flywheel, right? Let me go back. I want you to understand the machine that builds the machine, right? So let me go back to this, right? I want to show you an example like this flywheel. This is an example. YouTube, right? I just showed you 10 to 20, 30-minute shorts, however you choose, to shorts, to DMNs, right? This is this part, right? Every part is tracked, right? So let me come back now, right? I'm going to show you. I just want to show you, right? So now this is the 48-hour launch agent, right? I'm telling you, right? there's no guessing in this, right? So let me just go into something that was done before, right? How to achieve your goals, right? So what this does, right? We take the YouTube link, right? We put it in here, right? And it comes and spits out all this information, right? Just from a one YouTube link of 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or the choice, right? It spits out, right? The description of the video, right? The timescales for YouTube. It spits out another 6 more reels we can shoot in like 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, based on that same video, right? So that's 6, 7 pieces of content. Captions. It gives us captions for Instagram, for TikTok, right? Stuff we can post on there. DMs, right? A DM automation script where we can go and put now in mini chat, right? You see what I'm saying? Step 1, step 2, step 3, follow us up based on that video, right? Then we get a Medium article, right? Those of you don't know Medium is extremely powerful, right? Medium is another platform where we got all experts talking about. Then we go on to LinkedIn. That it takes that sub content and puts it onto LinkedIn. Then also Twitter, right? X, we get X feed, we get Facebook feed, right? We post this stuff on our own website. We get a Substack feed post, right? And then we go into cutting up the video with onto Optimus Clip, right? This was basically, right? API is connected. So now with all that, right, we've got another like 40 plus pieces of content. So we've syndicated all this, right? This is the viral score, right? Where API is plugged in there, and then we have an automatic posting strategy, right? From that 1 10-minute video, right? If you put in like 10 videos, right? If you put in like 10 videos on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube Shorts, plus you've got you're directing them all, right? This is the strategy that we're talking about. You're directing them all from the long form content all the way back back to your DMs, right? Now back to calls, right? That's just one piece of content, right? So one piece of content produces 40 plus pieces, right? So let me just do this rough math with you, right? That's why I said this is the machine that builds the machine, right? I'm just going to do this rough math, right? So if you produce one long form of content, right? One long form of content, right? For 10 minutes, right? And I told you our machine does that. That's 40 pieces of content that goes out, right? That's mad detection on all those platforms. Times that by 4 times a week, right? That's 160 pieces of content, right? Now, right, you got a machine. If you do it twice a week, right? That's 80 pieces of content times 4, right? That's 332 pieces of content, right? 20 minutes a week, right? So that's why I said this is a machine, right? Now, if you do it 3 times a week, right? 3 times 40, right? 40 pieces of content, right? Times, that's 40 pieces of content. That's 120 pieces of content a week, right? Times 4, right? That's 480 pieces of content, right? A month, right? And that's just, times that by 6, that's 2,880 pieces of content just in 6 months, right? I told you attention is currency, right? But you have to have a system in order to make it happen, right? And like I said, if we go back into, so like I said, we've got a system here. And let me just go back, right? Like I said, right? Is that success leaves clues, right? Let's go back into our ideas, right? Let's go back to the top. We're going to go back into our top. Alex Emosi, he puts out 450 pieces of content a week. How do you think he's doing it? He built a machine, right? He puts out 450 pieces of content syndicated across platforms, right? So this is what it takes, right? You with me? Currency is attention, like I said. And this is demand. This is the demand engine, right? So finally, we've done the scripts. That was the promo agent, right? The promo agent, like I said, right? But we went one step further, right? To automate. I've worked with lots of clients, even new clients, and it's hard to like just get in front of a camera, say stuff. So you've got to create a systematic approach. You've got to create a machine in order to do that. So let's go, right? So another agent that we created, right? To make things easier, right? I'm going to go to this other agent, which is our teleprompter agent, right? Let me just find it here. And when I say this is the machine that builds the machine, right? I want to show you a real example, right? This, you're seeing it, right? And this is only 1/3. We got 60 plus agents at work, and I've just showed you no more or less than like 8 of them today. Let me go to this. Where is it? Right. So here it is. So this is our teleprompter agent, right? So now we've got the script. How are we gonna take like someone who don't have that experience in order? This is how we take them and make them an expert, right? So this is, we just put the script into here, right? Right? Oh wow, what happened here? Like I said, we actually developed a teleprompter agent, right? We put the script in here, right? Then we just like we make it more easy and readable. Let's just do it like this, right? And let me just go now and I'm gonna preview it. Actually, let me make it full screen. I'm gonna preview it, right? I'm gonna put it on 1. We're talking about systemizing here, right? Actually, That's a bit fast. And then we play it, right? And this is how we just read it out. Most entrepreneurs are working 60 hours a week doing tasks that AI couldn't handle in 60 minutes. I'm about to show you 10 AI tools that give you the output of the entire team without the cost of hiring anybody extra, right? There you go, right? Like I said, it just auto plays through our teleprompter prompt, right? My screen is glitching, right? And it just scrolls the screen, right? Just like that, right? This is how we systemize it. And then that's how you're able to do like 2 to 3 10-minute, right, scripts a week, right? You know what I'm saying? It's all systemized. It's part of the machine, right? So I hope you've seen some examples, right? And you see, right, how we do this, right? So now I want you to know, right, the big shift is in thinking. Most people approach business like a builder. They focus on creating a course, a service, an agency, a product, but the real game is something different, like you've seen. The real game is in operations. Instead of asking, how do I sell this? Ask, how do I build a system that produces sales every day? Because the offer isn't the only one piece of the puzzle. In fact, the offer is simply in the machine. But the real power lies in the systems, what surround it: people, processes, automations, and measurement, like what you've just seen. All of those things combined together, right, become the machine that produces the machine, like how we demonstrated. And when that machine works correctly, revenue becomes a byproduct of operations and not a consistent struggle, right? What the machine actually looks like, which we've just seen, right? So let me just go back and just remind you what a machine actually looks like, right? I'm just going to go back here, open this up, right? I'm just going to go to our, right, our board, right? I'm just going to go to our monitoring, right? These are all agents which are running, right? At any given time, we've got 66 plus agents running, right? Sometimes we have less, sometimes we're keying up one, right? This is what the machine looks like, right? All these agents working for us, right? At any given moment, right? I showed you like the sales analysis, the 4-hour work week, the week score, right? The weekly scorecard agent, right? The weekly script producer, the sales scripts user, right? Literally, right? The content ID generator. I don't think you saw that, right? So we've even got media buying agents, right? You see what I'm saying, right? So agents that work in go high level, right, and build out the funnels for you, right? You see what I'm saying? So going back to what I was saying, right, what the machine actually looks like. What does the machine actually look like? At its core, it's a loop of a compounding flywheel that keeps improving itself, right? It looks like this. The authority content creates attention, attention creates inbound leads, leads create conversions, sales, conversations create clients, right? Clients create results, results creates proof, proof creates more better content. And the system becomes stronger with every cycle. That's what operators call the authority operating loop. And once this loop works in your business and is demanding on random effort, right, instead of running like a production system, it's just run like a factory, which has inputs, processes, and outputs. Your business starts to operate in the same way. Inputs: content, leads, conversation, systems, processes, marketing, sales, delivery, automation. Outputs: clients, revenue, authority. And once the machine is running, your job is no longer to hustle inside. Your job is to improve the machine itself. This is what we do, right? Giving you an example of the YouTube revenue machine, right? This is where media becomes powerful, currency becomes attention, right? Attention becomes currency. Most people think that YouTube is just about views, subscribers. You do not need a lot of subscribers in order to generate revenue on YouTube. That's a misnomer, right? You just need that core audience, people. You see what I'm saying? A channel with like 1,000 to 5,000 people of that core audience, you can generate revenue, right? But the wrong way to look at YouTube is it's not a social media platform, right? It is an authority engine. Every video should have one job: build trust, create conversations, feed the sales system, right? When used correctly, YouTube becomes the demand engine inside your business machine instead of a random posting content, right? You create a structured media machine, like have you seen? For example, every week you rotate different types of videos, authority videos, teach different frameworks and ideas, proof videos, show systems, results, behind the scenes thinking, narrative videos, right? Share lessons, operator insights. Each video plays a crucial role in building belief and trust. Over time, your content becomes the media flywheel. One video turns into multiple shorts, social media posts, Medium articles, conversations, LinkedIn articles, future video ideas. Instead of creating content, right, once at a time, you turn it into a full production system, like what I showed, right? And now, like I said, the role of AI employees is incredibly powerful. Like I showed you, we have 60 plus agents working. But the most powerful part of this machine is that it's artificial intelligence, AI, that allows you to build operational teams before even you hire people. Think of AI not as a tool, but as employees. You call it now an authentic workforce. Each one has a specific job. For example, the content strategist and AI helps structure long-term form, short-term content. Those are the type of agents that we built. That's why we got 60 plus agents. YouTube, launch operator, like what I just showed you. This one prepares titles, descriptions, chapters, launch assets, short-form content extractor, an agent that finds the strongest moments in the videos, right? A Medium authority writer, a LinkedIn, like an AI turns video assets into pieces of content with strengthening your credibility, right? And structures correctly, right? These AI agents handle the repetitive work that normally slows down careers, right? The principle is simple. AI executes structure. You improve your judgment of it, right? And when this is implemented properly, one piece of content becomes an entire media ecosystem. So the 5 layers of the machine, I want to reiterate. To build a machine properly, you need 5 key layers. The first layer is the daily understanding to extract the problem you're solving and who you're solving it for. The second layer is production, which focuses on consistent daily outputs, such as generating leads, having conversations, creating content, making up ongoing system improvements. The third layer is the process, where you establish clear understanding of operational procedures, marketing, sales, onboarding, and service delivery. The fourth is layers of people or AI agents, right? Ensuring humans that can use effective judgment, understanding, right, creativity, decision making, and most while handling AI and using AI agents to do repetitive and time consuming tasks. The fifth layer is performance, right, which is driven by numbers, weekly scorecards, and tracking that works and what needs to be improved. And when these 5 layers are layered together, business becomes uncontrollable, right? Not chaos, not guesswork, but a machine that improves week after week. Right? So this is the operator's mindset. And I want you to think like a operator. So with that said, I want you to think like an operator, right? And the real lesson is this. Most entrepreneurs spend their time building products, but operators build machines. They create systems that constantly generate attention, trust, and conversations, clients, and proof. And when that machine is working properly, right, revenue stops feeling stressful and starts becoming predictable because the business is producing valuable outputs every single day. Content gets published, leads gets generated, conversations get started, systems are constantly improving, literally. This is how a modern media business is truly fully scalable. And, right, it being scalable, this is where, like I said, attention becomes currency, right? If we don't understand anything I said today, right, this is the most important takeaway, right? Content gets published, leads get generated, conversations are started, systems are continually improved. This is how a modern media business truly becomes scalable, right? And media is the most important element, one of the most important elements, at least 60 to 70%, because you could have the best product, but if nobody knows about your product or service, right, you're dead in the water. Not chasing viral moments or relying on luck, but building a YouTube revenue machine that compounds authority, builds trust, and demand over time. Once you understand this shift in your thinking, right, everything changes. You stop trying to build a business, start trying to build a machine that builds the business. If you want to take things further and strengthen your systems, right, have higher retention with your YouTube, have more compelling stories, structures, right, scenes, B-roll, graphics, animation, the way you create your content, have an army of 60 agents working for you, right, to engage your market, right, you know what to do, right? I want you to reach out to me, book a call, right? Let's have a conversation, right? We're in the time of building an autonomy AI workforce, right? Where there'll be no comparison, right? Those people have an army of agents working for them, right? They'll be head over heels, right? Compared to the average ordinary businesses. And to say that, I want to finish off by giving you this example, right? Two brothers, right? Let me just show you quickly. These two brothers, right? With the help of AI, right? One brother started, another brother came. In 18 months, they built a $1.8 billion company, right? They with a framework that is possible with agentic workflows and an army of agents in 18 months, right? You can build like a magnificent, highly profitable and scalable company, right? How did they do that, right? Having systems like what I showed you, right? Matthew Gallagher and his younger brother, right? They had a company called Medivh, right? A telehealth startup, right? And they were selling weight loss products, right? And generated over 400 million in revenue, right? The first year, right? And now on track to do 1.8 billion in sales, right? They had an army, right, of agents, right? You know what I'm saying? And they just had an affiliate business model. They were affiliates promoting weight loss supplements. Is it possible? It is 100%. I want to take the time to say I thank you, right? If you stay to the end, right? It's an honor, and I look forward to speaking to you, and look out for the next video. I'm so passionate about where the world is going with AI agentic agents, right? There's never been a greater timeline ever to have an opportunity and exist to make money in a world we are living in today. See you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.